Hi, it's the Wealthy Expat here. Obviously, if you watch this channel, you know that I bought a St. Kitts and Nevis by investment passport. It cost me $150,000, and you might be interested in getting a passport like this, and you might be wondering how it is to travel the world on a passport like this. I've been to 3 countries. I'm currently in Tanzania and East Africa. I got my 3rd stamp on my new passport that I got a few months ago, obviously by investment, by donation. You get it in a couple of months. How it is to travel. What is the experience with border guards, border stations around the world? What questions do you get asked? And overall, is it a hassle to travel on a country's passport that most people don't even know where it is, what it is, if it's a real country, and don't know how you got it? Let's find out. All right, the first country that I visited on my St. Kitts and Nevis passport was Romania. A couple of months ago, I made a video on it, and I said that the whole process was kind of a hassle. They did ask me a lot of questions. They kept me at the border counter for about 10 to 15 minutes, asking me, where do I live? Why am I in Romania? How much time am I spending in Romania? What hotel am I staying in Romania? So a lot of questions that I'm not used to getting on, for example, my US passport. When I travel the world on the US passport, they just look at it, stamp it, and off you go. But on the St. Kitts and Nevis, that was a little weird. That was my first time in Romania, so maybe that was just a Romania thing or a European Union thing with a passport like this, because in the other 2 countries that I visited, which has been Seychelles, beautiful islands in the middle of the ocean, also next to Africa. I'm traveling through Africa a lot, just experiencing some countries here, looking at the beautiful nature, maybe some investment opportunities over here, and just exploring it overall. Seychelles was the 2nd country, and now Tanzania has been the 3rd country. So first up, Seychelles, traveling to the islands of the Seychelles. How was the experience? Getting stamped, looking at their system. What was it overall? So we arrived at the immigration counter, and essentially they just looked at their system. That's what most border guards are going to do. They're going to receive your passport. If they don't know what country that is, they might not ask you. They'll just look it up in their system. St. Kitts and Nevis. How much visa-free travel do you have? Okay, you have 90 days in our country. They'll ask you probably, how long are you staying in the Seychelles or Tanzania? You will say 7 days, 10 days. Okay, great. They will actually note it down either on the visa stamp or in their system how long you're supposed to stay and when are you actually leaving. That's what happens in the Seychelles. They stamped it, and on top, they said the day that we're going to leave the country. So 7 days after that, we're going to leave the country, and the visa is valid up to that day. So that's what happened on the St. Kitts and Nevis passport. If you've been to Seychelles before, maybe it happened on your passport as well, but that was my experience. And not that many questions asked. The only question that they really asked was, where do you live in the world? I said UAE, United Arab Emirates, Dubai. They said, okay, show me proof. I showed them my Emirates ID. She looked at my Emirates ID. No questions asked about the nationality, because I do have it with United States in the bottom, not St. Kitts. I'm getting a new one, new Emirates ID with St. Kitts on the bottom, but she didn't have absolutely any questions. She just stamped the passport, looked at her system again, and that was it. It was pretty much a 2-minute process, and I entered the Seychelles, and I had absolutely no problems. With Tanzania here was a bit of a different story. Obviously here, it's a completely different country. It is mainland Africa, and it is a different culture shock when it comes to the border guard. So essentially you go into the immigration, and there's a bunch of different counters that say visa on arrival, e-visa, and visa exemption. The St. Kitts and Nevis program, the St. Kitts and Nevis passport, has visa on exemption for Tanzania. You don't need a visa. So I went up to the counter, he looked at the passport, and basically he looked at the front of the passport, and he said, what is this country? Caribbean? Because it does say Caribbean community at the top. So I didn't say St. Kitts and Nevis, you just say Caribbean. Oh, Caribbean, very far. So he basically just opened the passport, looked at the name, St. Kitts and Nevis, looked it up in his system. He was like, do you need a visa to enter Tanzania? I'm like, no, I don't need a visa. It's visa-free. He looked at it. He said, oh, actually, yeah, you have visa-free for 90 days. He basically looked at the passport, stamped it, looked at it again a couple of times, and that was pretty much it. Just stamped it, and on top of the stamp, it actually says 90 days. So you're allowed to stay in Tanzania for 90 days. He didn't say when are you leaving or how long are you staying, proof of where you live, absolutely nothing. It was a very smooth process. I would say it's an African country that many people tourist and many people visit. So it might have been easy just because of the country's level compared to other countries. I don't want to be racist or biased or prejudiced here, but that's just what I'm saying. So a country like Romania, which are EU, they might feel better about themselves, so they give you a little bit more trouble. Tanzania, they just welcome people. They feel like, okay, great, you're our tourist. Welcome to our country. No hassle, no problems. We'll make it easy for you, 90 days. So that might have been the process and why it was so easy to get that stamp. It should have been easy because you do have visa exemption. So do expect some countries around the world to give you some problems on a passport that they probably have never seen before. If you show up on a St. Lucia, on a Dominica passport, on a Grenada passport, they probably have not seen that passport before, unless it's a very well-known country like the UK, US, Canada, Brazil, countries that people with those passports typically visit they are well known. They know that those passports exist. They know that those passports are bought, that they're by Citizenship by investment, when typically you're flying to other countries like Seychelles or Tanzania or other countries around the world that have no idea about these passports. You will get questions like, where is this? What region of the world is it? And I still haven't gotten the question of how did you get this passport? So thankfully, I haven't needed to say that I bought this passport, got it through investment or through application, anything like that. So the process has been smooth in those two other countries, because I get a lot of my clients questions that they say, okay, I want to get that citizenship by investment. I want to, for example, renounce my US citizenship. I don't want to travel on my Canadian, Australian passport. I want to travel on a new identity, new passport. And they don't feel confident because people around the world, they might prejudice against them, or they might think, oh, it's not respected. It's just a Caribbean passport. That's not been my experience at all. It's not that it's not respected. It's just it's not known. They don't know that the country exists. They don't know where the country is. So you just looked at the Caribbean and you thought, okay, that's pretty far away. Welcome to our country. Happy to have you here. And that was pretty much how the process went. Very easy, very smooth, no hassle at all. One thing that I have noticed from the 3 countries where I've been to is I always get asked, where do you live? Where do you live? Pretty much that question. And you can say anywhere in the world. You should have a residence permit for that country. So what I would recommend you is, let's say you're renouncing US citizenship, or you just want to get another passport just to have it, and you're traveling on that passport, they will probably ask you a residence permit anywhere around the world. And if you have place of birth in a country like Canada, Australia, US, they will probably ask you, why don't you live in the US? Why don't you live in insert the country? And why don't you travel on that passport? So you might need to answer that question. On my passport, actually it shows that I was born in Puerto Rico, not in the US, so I don't have that problem, thankfully, thanks to St. Kitts. But pretty much that is going to pop up. Where do you live and why you're not using your other passport? So get another residence permit, whether that's Dubai or Portugal or anywhere around the world, Cayman Islands. At least have a residence permit, residency card. If you want to get an easy one, obviously Dubai is the easiest, fastest, least hassle, the best one you can possibly get for taxes and everything. You can also use that for travel. So whenever they ask you, where do you live? Where do you pay taxes, for example, you just show that and they know that you live in the UAE, and there's no more questions, no more hassle, no more other asking for visas or where have you been before or why is this travel pattern like that? You just show them the ID. They say, oh, okay, you live in Dubai. Great. Here's your ID back. Welcome to our country. Here's your stamp. That is something I definitely recommend based on my personal experience traveling through these countries on this passport. If you want to travel the world on a second citizenship and you want to get citizenship by investment, whether that's to renounce your US citizenship or just get another passport for protection for you and your family, click that first link in the description. Book a call with the Wealthy Expat team. Let's see which option fits best for you and how we can help you get another citizenship. Go ahead and book it right now and click the link that's going to pop up right here. It is a video on the fastest passports that you can get in the world. If you're looking for a second passport, second citizenship, citizenship by investment, which are the fastest passports you can get in the entire world, check out that video right now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, that like button down below. I'm the Wealthy Expat. I will see you on the next one.